James Norrington, a study in honor, pride, and redemption. James Norrington is one of the most compelling secondary characters in the Pirates of the Caribbean series, embodying the tensions between honor, pride, societal expectation, and personal morality. Introduced as a high-ranking officer in the British Royal Navy stationed in Port Royal, Norrington is initially portrayed as the archetype of a disciplined, honourable man. However, as the series progresses, his character undergoes a complex arc that explores human vulnerability, the corrosive effects of pride, and the possibility of redemption. A closer examination of Norrington's personality, motivations, and evolution throughout the series reveals the depth of a character often overshadowed by more flamboyant figures like Jack Sparrow and Will Turner. Honor and duty, the foundations of Norrington's character. At the heart of James Norrington's character lies an unwavering commitment to duty and honor. As Commodore of the Port Royal Forces, he upholds the rules and regulations of the British Navy with strict adherence. His very first appearance in The Curse of the Black Pearl highlights this trait. He is tasked with maintaining law and order in the chaotic world of pirates, smuggling, and corruption in the Caribbean. Norrington's rigid sense of duty is both admirable and tragic. It drives him to act with integrity, but also blinds him to the complexities of human behavior and the fluid morality of the pirate-infested world around him. Norrington's honor is intertwined with his sense of social hierarchy and propriety. He embodies the British colonial ideal of civility and justice, often contrasted sharply with the irreverent, chaotic nature of pirates, particularly Jack Sparrow. This contrast establishes Norrington as the moral anchor in the story, someone who represents law, order, and social expectation. He is the ideal officer in a society where reputation and status are paramount. However, his rigid adherence to these ideals sets the stage for internal conflict as he faces situations where moral clarity is absent and personal feelings clash with duty. Pride and ambition, the double-edged sword. While honor defines Norrington, pride shapes much of his narrative journey. His social standing, career ambitions, and desire for recognition are central to his identity. Norrington is depicted as highly conscious of status, both within the Navy and in the social circles of Port Royal. His pursuit of Elizabeth Swan's affection, which begins as genuine admiration but is closely tied to social propriety, underscores the duality of his pride. It is a source of motivation but also a potential weakness. This theme of pride becomes critical when Norrington's world begins to unravel. His failure to capture the Black Pearl, coupled with his inability to win Elizabeth's hand, marks the beginning of his public and personal downfall. Pride, once a source of strength, becomes a corrosive force that drives him into despair. The tension between his idealized self-image and the reality of failure is central to understanding Norrington's character. It humanizes him and allows audiences to empathize with his vulnerability. Unlike other characters who recover from setbacks through cunning or charm, Norrington's struggle is internal, rooted in self-perception and societal expectations. Conflict with Jack Sparrow, chaos versus order. Norrington's interactions with Jack Sparrow highlight the fundamental philosophical tension in the series, the conflict between order and chaos. Norrington represents law, discipline, and hierarchical authority, while Jack embodies freedom, unpredictability, and moral ambiguity. Their rivalry is not merely personal, but ideological. Norrington's disdain for Jack is evident in his meticulous pursuit of the pirate, reflecting his commitment to justice. However, there is also an undercurrent of envy and frustration. Jack's success and cunning challenge Norrington's worldview, revealing cracks in his otherwise steadfast belief in law and order. This dynamic serves to illuminate Norrington's complexity. He is not a one-dimensional antagonist. Rather, he is a man struggling to reconcile his ideals with a world that often rewards cunning over morality. Norrington's eventual acknowledgement of Jack's resourcefulness, even if grudging, demonstrates a subtle character growth, suggesting that he is capable of understanding perspectives beyond the rigid framework of duty he initially embodies. Fall from grace, vulnerability, and humanity. One of the most compelling aspects of Norrington's arc is his dramatic fall from grace. After failing to capture the Black Pearl and being publicly humiliated, Norrington resigns from the Navy and becomes destitute, wandering as a beggar. This transformation strips him of his authority, social status, and dignity, exposing the vulnerability underlying his disciplined exterior. The once proud Commodore becomes a symbol of human fragility and the precariousness of social standing. This period of Norrington's life is significant because it shifts him from a figure of moral certainty to one of tragic humanity. Stripped of societal validation, he is forced to confront his own limitations and reassess what truly defines him. His vulnerability also elicits empathy from the audience. Despite his flaws, there is a poignancy in seeing a man of honor brought low by circumstances beyond his control. This phase of his story underscores the series' broader exploration of morality. that life is unpredictable and even the most disciplined individuals are not immune to failure. Redemption and moral complexity. Norrington's eventual path toward redemption is both subtle and profound. By the time of At World's End and Dead Men Tell No Tales, he is no longer merely a proud commodore or a fallen officer. He is a man seeking purpose beyond social validation. His willingness to confront the supernatural and the pirate threat, even when stripped of rank and resources, signals a shift from pride-driven ambition to a more intrinsic sense of morality.
Elizabeth?